Hey guys, it's Grunge. For those of you that don't know me, I am a YouTube commentator and I do Fallout videos, primarily Fallout and Fallout New Vegas. Occasionally I will do a video of a different game, be it Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, even the occasional TF2 or any game I'm hooked on right now, gameplay, just things like that. But Fallout is my main game that I'm going to upload, or that I am uploading rather. Today is going to be a very long commentary. I'm going to compare Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Now, originally I was going to get gameplay from both games and compare them side by side with gameplays, but there's really no need to have both, because I'm sure that if you've played one, you've played the other. They're very similar in gameplay aspects, but they're very different in content and in just how one of them is better. How do I spit this out? I should have been a little bit more prepared. They're different in terms of content, including characters, including map, and they're different aspects of the game that make each one better. Like, there are certain aspects in Fallout 3 that make it better than New Vegas, and there's certain aspects in New Vegas that are better than Fallout 3. But overall, I'm going to compare the games side by side, and I've taken the side of Fallout 3. I think Fallout 3 is a much better game than New Vegas, and Fallout 3, I have several reasons why. I'm not trying to be completely biased, because I did play Fallout 3 a lot more than New Vegas. I have like maybe 230 hours total if you were to add up all my profiles, including the ones I've deleted together. Somewhere around there, whereas in New Vegas I have maybe 120 hours played, maybe less than that, so about half the time. But I've done more than enough researching in each game and played each one enough for me to decide which one is better. Fallout 3 to me is the better game, and there's several reasons why. I'm going to start out on the story. A lot of people hated Fallout 3's story, the main quest anyway. They thought it was half-assed, they thought the ending sucked, they thought it was abrupt, it was different from the original Fallouts, and I reply with false, 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 true. The last one, it is different from the other Fallout stories, and Fallout 3 is a lot different from its predecessors, and question fans of the original Fallouts, because it's different, does that automatically make it bad? Just a question. No, it doesn't, and this game does have flaws, but then again, what game doesn't? And Fallout 3 has very minor flaws that can be easily overlooked by all the features in the game and the mind-blowing aspects of it. Fallout 3's story was a lot more emotional than Fallout New Vegas is. The only emotions really in New Vegas were anger. You're pissed at the guy that shot you in the head, and in this one is an emotional story about a son or daughter going after his father, who has abandoned him or her, so he can work on a water purifier to help out the wasteland, which is a pretty creative storyline. And then an enemy force called the Enclave tries to take it over to use for their own evil intents, and the player can side with his father or the Enclave in it, and it's really good. In Fallout New Vegas, you could choose 4 sides. You could go with the Legion, the NCR, Independent, or with Mr. House, but they all end up in the same thing. It's cool that you get to do. It's cool that you get to branch out in that many directions, but in Fallout New Vegas, you all end up doing the same quest, just from different aspects. Not different aspects, but you're doing basically the same objectives on a different side. And Fallout 3, it had too much of a jump in it. Like, you get shot in the head, then you go track the guy down, and then you kill him or let him live, and then all of a sudden you're fighting in the final battle that really had no lead from getting shot in the head as a package courier. They tried to connect it with the Platinum Chip and the Underground Army, but it was minimally effective, and the story in Fallout New Vegas was not very good, not the main storyline, and Fallout 3's was excellent if you think otherwise. If you disagree with anything I say, PM me. I'd love to debate sometime. For the record, no, I'm not some 14-year-old Xbox fanboy. I am a 17-year-old Fallout player. I've played Fallout and Fallout 2 and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 3 is just my favorite. It's definitely my all-time favorite game. I haven't played a game better than it. Let's see, but now that we've moved past, I think that's all I've covered. We need to cover about the story. Let's see, and in Fallout 3, the final battle is just as good as the final battle in New Vegas. In New Vegas, in Fallout 3, they're basically the same thing. You're fighting through waves of enemies to get to your destination. Except the only difference is in Fallout New Vegas, you're either assaulting or defending Hoover Dam, and that's not a drastic difference, but overall, Fallout 3 had a lot better literary aspects to it, more literary aspects, and it was basically branched the same way as New Vegas, just, only 2 branches instead of 4, but the 4 branches ended up being the same in New Vegas, basically. Let's see. Also in Fallout 3, another thing I want to touch on is the quests. Yes, there are more quests in Fallout New Vegas. There are more little messages on your screen, quest added, so-and-so. However, the quests in Fallout New Vegas are they're not as thought out as Fallout 3. They are shorter, they are more in Fallout 3 they're a lot more thought out, because in New Vegas the quests are basically, go collect this, go kill this guy. There aren't very many stories behind their quests, whereas in Fallout 3 there was a lot more choice, the quests were a lot longer, and there were stories behind almost every one. The only really, errand boy quest that, that aspect really ruined Fallout New Vegas' quests was the Nuka-Cola Challenge, but other than that, had incredible quests like Tranquility Lane, let's see, it had, Blood Ties, that was another good one, Tenpenny Tower, let's see, Wasteland Survival Guide. That was kind of, while that was kind of an errand boy quest, it had a lot more variety than the kind of quests you'd see in Fallout New Vegas. And overall, the quests were longer and more thought out and had a story behind it, and there was a lot more choosing in it. And one of the biggest things about Fallout 3 that makes it superior to New Vegas is the map. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip that, and I'll get back to it in a minute, when I get to the right clip. Let's see, let me touch up on a few more things, including the story. A few more things I forgot to add, foreshadowing. Let me go into a little bit more detail on the elements of Fallout 3. It had emotional appeal, it had foreshadowing, it had irony in it. It was a great story if you analyze it, and Fallout New Vegas, no, I didn't like it. It was, they could have put a lot more time into it. Fallout 3 was a lot more emotional, and that's the main thing it holds over New Vegas. And I played through both of them, and they're about the same length, and they're similar in the whole element of the tracking down process, going from place to place to try to find, in Fallout 3, your dad, and in Fallout New Vegas, Benny. But, yeah, that's all I really need to touch up on the story. Let's see, I talked about the quests. Yes, the quests, I went over that they were more thought out and a lot longer in Fallout 3. While there were a few less, there was a lot more variety. There's not a lot of variety in New Vegas. It's, it's a lot of errand boy quests and assassination quests, whereas there's a lot more to that than in Fallout 3. Alright, and another important aspect of Fallout 3 is the map, which, following now, I'm going to show you the map, how fucking big it is, how fucking... This map is so huge, and it's so much bigger than Fallout New Vegas' map. You may disagree with me in the aspect of, like, looking at your Pip-Boy, but if you go around and explore both of them, you'll find that there's so many more places to explore in Fallout 3, like 5 times more places to explore in Fallout 3 than in New Vegas. Excuse me. In New Vegas, it was a bland desert, which I understand, it's Arizona, it's a deserty place, but they didn't put a lot of locations in those things, but marked and unmarked. And when you did find a marked, you couldn't really explore it as well as you could in Fallout 3, like, it would be a crash site or highway patrol station with just a few things in it, or a crashed car, or an open field, and a lot of it was occupied, so you couldn't really go in and scavenge or anything. And unmarked locations, things like sheds, there were a bunch of those in Fallout 3, random encounters, Easter eggs, so many of those. You just had to play through it a lot. Hold on 1 second, let me get some water real quick. Okay, I'm back. Right here, I'm showing you, see, like, inside of this Georgetown, like, downtown DC itself, in Fallout 3, was probably as big as the Grand Theft Auto 4 map, and that was a big fucking map. But there's so many places to explore in DC that aren't marked on the map, and, grocery stores, residential homes, stores, utility buildings, and one of the bigger things, the underground metro. Now, it was so much of the map, and I'm surprised they didn't have one in New Vegas. Well, I shouldn't have been, because it's Arizona, but it offered so many more places to explore underground. You had like 5 miles worth of actually a lot more than that. I shouldn't have said 5 miles, but like a lot to explore underground. And it didn't all just look the same. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. It did look a lot of the same, but that's pretty much how metros are designed anyway. And let's see. And outside of downtown DC, there's so much more to explore. Like, that downtown DC is only a fifth of the whole map, and so much to explore. I need to stop talking about that, though, because you guys, if you haven't played this game enough, or you feel like you have, but you don't agree with me, play it some more and explore some more, because there's so many places to explore. And look, this wasn't on the map, you just have to kind of roam around and find this, but there are like 3 stores right here, and a preservation shelter that usually has items in it, and there are things like this all over the wasteland. And not so much in Fallout New Vegas. But I'm running low on breath here, and I still got, let's see, about 3.5 minutes to fill up, so, okay, another thing I want to compare is combat. Now, combat is where Fallout New Vegas kind of gets the upper hand, but minusculely. I'm not going to include the fact that you can aim down sight with a lot more guns. Let me show you right here. This is the map of Fallout 3. If you saw where I had my cursor a minute ago, such a big downtown area. But back on topic. In all honesty, Fallout New Vegas is basically Fallout 3 combat with just a minuscule amount of improvements. And the reason why I say that, iron sights, I'm not going to count that, because the iron sights weren't that great and you didn't need them. They just give you something other than that reticule on your screen. They don't tighten the spread or anything. That's one thing I love about Fallout, spread over distance, unlike in a lot of multiplayer games I play. Let's see, But in Fallout New Vegas, I really liked ammo customization, and that's something that they didn't put in Fallout 3, but it's only, you know, a small thing that was better. Same thing with, you know, in Melee. Like, I'm attacking this guy right here. In that's Melee. In Fallout New Vegas, you can do more than just slash them. But once again, just a minuscule improvement. Hey Charlie, what is it? Alright. And let's see, there were about the same amount of weapons in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you know, and you got your variety throughout. In Fallout 3, you'd come across, you know, the Chinese pistol, 10mm pistol, 32 pistol, hunting rifle, combat shotgun, assault rifle early on, and then later on you'd get things like the laser rifle, plasma pistol, plasma rifle, you know, explosives, and so they were about the same, but a lot of people complained about the lack of aim down sight and bad aiming in Fallout 3, but I say, this ain't Call of Duty, baby. You can't really blame that on the game. I mean, you can't, if that doesn't meet your expectation, you can't really hold it against the game, because, I mean, and it's the same in Fallout New Vegas. You just get to aim down, you just get a picture instead of that reticule. Like, there's no sway movements, and you can't tighten the spread like you can in most multiplayer games. But Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas are almost identical in combat, but, you know, Fallout New Vegas is only minusculely better. And this, I forgot to talk about, random encounter, raiders in this place. It wasn't posted anywhere. This isn't even a marked location. You have to walk around and find it. It's like roaming through a real world, whereas in New Vegas, there are not a whole lot of these places, you know. The Wastelander that's being torched, and there are like 100 more of these random encounters, whereas there may be 15 in New Vegas. I'm short on breath, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me talking about New Vegas versus Fallout 3. This is just my opinion. I kind of rushed through it. I think I touched on everything that I really needed to. And, you know, if you disagree with me at all, PM me and we can debate sometime. I'd appreciate comments other than you're a fucking 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid with no life and doesn't know shit about video games, you know, stuff like that. But PM me if you want to debate sometime. Man, I hope that you take what I've said into opinion at least. Fallout 3 is not a bad game. It is much better than New Vegas, and in my opinion, better than its predecessors, but that's up for debate by the original fans. That's all. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm Grunge. And I will see you guys later.